It's been a while since we met in June.
Yes, it has.
I know, I looked at that and thought, it's a little for needing variances.
All right, I'd like to call to order the City of Angola Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, October 28th, 2024. Can I have the roll call, please?
Brant Moore,
Here.
Chris Thomas. Here. Bill Rowe, Mike Sutter, Susan Ralston.
Here.
Having three members, we do have a quorum. Board, you have the minutes from the June 24th, 2024 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. A little bit about our meetings for those in the audience. Our first thing we'll do is we'll have the city planner will give the staff report. We'll then ask the petitioner to present any facts pertaining to the case. The board will ask questions of the petitioner. And then we will ask for any remonstrators and correspondence to be read into the minutes. We'll then allow the petitioner any time for rebuttal. We'll close the public part of the hearing. The board will discuss the case. We will read the findings of fact and then have a motion for approval. So first case is 2024 BZA 10001 Development Standard Variances.
All right, first staff report of this evening, as mentioned, is 2024 BZA 10001. Application type is development standard variances and a special exception. The applicant or owner is 3M Investments, James Kirikoff, and the applicant was by DA Brown Engineering, David Brown. The location is at 1030 South Wayne Street here in Angola. The special exception is looking at section 18.56.030. A is an Adam dwelling 4-family quadplex. And development standard variances requesting relief from minimum front yard setback and trash receptacle standards for front yard. The current zoning is R5, high density multifamily residential. Applicable code is Title 18 of the UDO and Indiana Code Board of Zoning Appeals 36-7-4 series. Hearing date is today's date, October 28, 2024. Legal notice appeared in the Herald Republican on October 18th, and 17 property owners within 300 feet of the project were sent notice on October 17th. It's not located within the floodplain. Excuse me. The petitioner has recently acquired a 1 acre vacant parcel outlined in yellow below in the image along South Wayne Street in August 2024. The property currently features a single-family residence and an accessory structure that are in a state of disrepair. To address this, the petitioners obtained demolition permits in early August to remove these existing buildings. The petitioner intends to construct 2 quadplex structures on this site, including additional high-density housing to the southern portion of the city. To facilitate the proposed development, the petitioner has requested a rezoning through the Planning Commission of the parcel from R2 to R5. The rezoning would allow for the construct of the quadplex structures upon receiving proper approval from this board as a special exception. Common Council approved the zoning map amendment on October 21st, ordinance number 1765, 2024. The decision was primarily driven by development standards associated within the R5 district. By rezoning R5, several potential development standard requests could be eliminated compared to the R4 multifamily residential district where quadplexes are permitted by right. The image below this outlines with the star of where the development is of 1030 South Wayne Street is, and a couple of high density residential dwellings throughout the southern portion of the city with Enterprise Point apartments, Darling Street, Lakeland, and then duplexes along Fox Lake. The proposed development is located near high density housing developments, Lakeland and Enterprise Point apartments. To make the most of the site's terrain, the location along South Wayne Street, the petitioners requested relief from 2 development standards and approval of the special exception. By embracing the existing topography and maximizing available space, the petitioner can create a more efficient and visually appealing development. The surrounding area includes a mix of residential with commercial use, and high-density nature of the proposed development aligns with the nearby apartment complexes. Moving next into the site plan and special exception, the applicant proposes to construct 2 multifamily structures, each containing 4 units, quadplexes. Each structure would be 2 stories with 2 units on the main floor and 2 on the second floor. A special exception use is requested because the desired zoning classification for family quadplex is a not permitted use in R5 district. The BZA is authorized to grant a special exception use only when it clearly complements the residential nature of the district. While the R5 district is intended for high density housing, 5+ units, it also recognizes the need for other multifamily dwellings. Below, we'll show you how it's positioned on the site. Next, we move into the development standard variances. First, section 18.56040E is in Edward. Front yard setback of 30 feet for primary and accessory structures. The applicant requests relief from front yard setback from South Wayne Street, a setback of 30 feet to become 5 feet, as shown in orange in the image immediately below. For placement of the development's parking lot, the buildings to the setback buildings to be set back 78 feet from the right-of-way line. While the Unified Development Ordinance permits parking lots to encroach into setbacks by a certain percentage, this flexibility does not apply to residential districts. To maintain consistency with the existing development pattern, the parking lot setback will align with the car dealership to the north. Next is section 18.160510, trash receptacle standards. C as in Charles 1. Setbacks of front yard as trash receptacles shall not be located in the front yard. And they request to permit trash receptacle placement within a front yard. To optimize accessibility, safety, and density, the site plan strategically locates buildings and amenities. The rear yard, positioned away from a busy thoroughfare, provides ample common space for the residents. This design prioritizes comfort and security. However, it requires placing the trash receptacle in the parking lot perimeter, which is located in the front yard. Next, we move into a couple site images that were captured back, I believe, during like the rezone. It hasn't changed, but it's from South Wayne Street, looking from each corner of that corridor over the property as it sits. Next is the contextual zoning and land use. As mentioned, the property is zoned R5, medium or high density, single family residential. District surrounded land uses to the north is the Angola CDJR dealership and traditional residential. To the east is C2 commercial automobile sales and repair, and the PD district of the Steuben County EDC, Rise and Enterprise Point Apartments. To the south is C1 R4 residential and institutional district of the Pleasant View Church of Christ. And to the west is traditional residential R5 zoning to encompass Lakeland Apartments and institutional. This project speaks to the comprehensive plan, principle 1, objective 1.5, strongly encourage redevelopment of underutilized vacant and abandoned structures and lots. Objective 1.7, encourage infill and residential growth within corporate limits. And objective 1.14 is continue redevelopment of existing underutilized properties along South Wayne Street. As of today's date, there's been no public input of the legal notices being mailed. And in conclusion, staff is encouraged to see potential development on shovel-ready site within the community along South Wayne Street. The proposed dwelling 4-family quadplex aligns with the district's intent and special exception use, complementing the area's mixed residential nature. Staff recommends conditional approval on the requested variances. The development plan approval for a dwelling four-family quadplex is granted by the Angola Plan Commission, which is on the agenda for November 12th Plan Commission agenda. Any questions for staff?
The dumpster is only screened by vinyl fencing? The dumpster be screened with vinyl fencing and swing gate?
Yeah, so, the vinyl,
Like privacy.
privacy style fencing that we permit in
Okay.
fencing wall material.
Okay.
So it would be constructed of a material that is per our code. The only restriction would be the placement of it. Other than that, the materials and additional some landscaping, screening, things of that nature are placed around it. But the only conflict would be the placement of the receptacle in front.
All right. Are you the petitioner?
Yeah.
I do want to say before you start that we only have 3 of our 5 members here tonight. So it would take a unanimous decision from all 3 of us.
Yep.
So I want to let you know that up front. If you want to wait until we have all 5, we can, or you can proceed. It's up to you.
I'd rather proceed.
Okay. So we just want to, come on up to the podium, give your name and address.
It's Jim Kirchhoff. I'm with 3M Development. My address is 300 Lane, 650 AD, Snow Lake, Fremont, Indiana. And I'm the builder and developer both of this project.
Is there anything special you want to tell us about?
I just think that, what the reason that we did this is, one, the structures are being removed today. Was our first day that we started tearing them down, and they were in really, really bad shape. It was just an eyesore. And actually, I really can't believe that the city would allow a building like that people could get into maybe eventually. And, that was a big risk when I walked in and I wouldn't go any farther. I mean, the roof was falling down. It was just really in bad shape. So my feeling was if we could get this put in, it's close to the Trine area. I think this will be graduate students. It's going to be a higher rent income. They're 2-bedroom, 1 full bath, about 1,100 square foot, washer, dryer, fireplace, the whole 9 yards. Be really nice units for, some undergraduates or even some Cameron people that, professionals that are in the area. So that's kind of what we're.
Chris, do you have any questions? Or no? Have any questions?
No,
I don't either. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we have 3 different findings of fact that we'll go through, and so we'll take each one separately and read through. Was there any other correspondence received?
There was that.
So hearing none, then I'll close the public part of the hearing and start to go through the findings of fact.
All right. The first findings for this evening would be for the special exception use for case number 2024 BZA. This outlined as 10001.1 for the dwelling of 4-family quadplex. Again, special exception use. Number 1 finding, the proposed special exception will or will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes to find that because a dwelling 4-family quadplex will have adequate utilities and drainage.
Agree.
Agree. Number 2, the proposed special exception will or will not alter the character of the district.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the dwelling 4-family quadplex is consistent with surrounding properties and character of the area, given its proximity to the exact same land use.
Agree.
Number 3, the proposed special exception is or is not consistent with the proposed or the purpose of the zoning district and Angola comprehensive plan.
Is.
Staff proposes the finding that because objectives 1.5, 1.7, and 1.14 is a supportive type of development. Additionally, the R5 district intent says allow special exception use only when it clearly complements the residential nature of its district.
Agree.
Number 4, the proposed special exception is or is not in harmony with the adjacent land uses.
Is.
Staff proposes the finding that a dwelling 4-family quadplex is an adjacent land use Additionally, the architecture and finish of materials will be similar to the surrounding structures.
Agree.
And lastly, number 5, the proposed special exception will or will not substantially impact property value in an adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the properties will be developed in a manner consistent with the adjacent properties.
Agree. Do I have a motion to accept the special exception or to approve the special exception dwelling for family quadplex with conditions? Development plan approval from the Englewood Plan Commission for dwelling for family quadplex.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. All right, next is for case number 2024 BZA 10001.2. This is for section 1856040E as in Edward for the minimum front yard setback to be 5 feet. First finding, the approval of the variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, or morals of the general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because of the setback of 5 feet of the development's parking lot respects all designated right-of-way and easements. Furthermore, the primary structure are setback at least an additional 48 feet from the 30 feet front setback line to access the development, and access to development has been aligned with Lang Lane.
Agree.
Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will or will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the existing residential dwelling is currently set back approximately 12 feet from the right-of-way along South Wayne Street and mirrors the parking lot to the neighbor's property to the north.
Agree.
Lastly, number 3, the strict application of terms of this ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of this property.
Will.
Staff proposes the finding that because the topography of the 1 acre parcel, the site plan strategically places the main buildings and parking area towards the eastern end, this arrangement is necessary to accommodate the site's natural contours.
Agree. Do I have a motion to approve with conditions that the development plan get approval from the Plan Commission?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the last one.
Last one for this evening is for case number 2024 BZA 10001.3. This is in reference to section 18.160.510 C as in Charles 1, trash receptacle permitted in a front yard. Number 1, the approval of this variance will or will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the proposed location is positioned beyond the 30-foot front yard setback at approximately 41 feet, additionally, the trash receptacle will be screened with permitted material.
Agree.
Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will or will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the development will be or will properly screen the trash receptacle for the property, providing a more aesthetic environment.
Agree.
And lastly, number 3, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Will.
Staff proposes the finding that because the topography of the location, the buildings are positioned in a way that requires the trash receptacle to be located within the front or within the parking area perimeter. This placement is essential to ensure pedestrian and vehicular access around the property and its structures.
Agree.
Agree.
I get a motion to approve with conditions the trash receptacle permitted in the front yard.
Motion.
A second,
I'll second.
all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Has been approved. Next case is 2024-BZA-1002, Development Standard Variance, Trine University.
All right. We covered case number is 2024 BZA 10002, seeking development and standard variances. The owner is Trine University, Rod Olson, and the applicant was Commercial Signs Inc., Diana Chambers. The location is at 1215 Thunder Drive here in Angola. Request section 18.180050 sign standards. University, B as in boy, 1 wall sign, maximum sign area. The current zoning is UV, the University District. Applicable code is Title 18 of the UDO and Indiana Code Board of Zoning Appeals 36-7-4 series. Hearing date is today's date, October 28, 2024. Legal notice appeared in the Herald Republican on October 18th, and 8 property owners within 300 feet of this parcel were sent notice on October 17th, 2024. Project is not located within a floodplain. In December of 2016, Trine University received development plan approval to construct a 46,000 square foot sports complex facility known as the MTI Center. The facility houses a 3,000 seat basketball arena, locker rooms, offices, bowling alleys, owner golf course, and various other amenities for the university community. Trine University now proposes to incorporate additional wall signage to the MTI Center. Currently, the east facade above the main entrance displays the facility's name. The petitioner seeks to add wall signage to the north facade, replicating the existing signage on the east facade, but at a larger scale. While larger scale wall signage is typically allowed in commercial and industrial zoning districts, the UV district imposes a more stringent restrictions. The UV district only permits much smaller wall signage, which would not be sufficient to achieve the desired visibility for the proposed signage on the north facade. The primary objective of the signage addition is to enhance the visibility and identifiability of the MTI Center from a distance. Next, we move into the site plan. The MTI Center is situated on the western edge of the main campus, bordered by the university's golf course on all sides except the east. The facility is accessible from the end of Thunder Drive and is visible from US Highway 20, also known as our West Maumee Street. The front facade of the MTI is at least 1,400 feet from non-campus properties and approximately 600 feet from the new Fabiani Hall. Currently, the MTI features a single wall sign on the east facade above the main entrance. The proposed signage would comply with the UV district's limit of 1 sign per side of the building. However, its proposed signage exceeds the maximum allowable square footage of 65 square feet. The north facade is approximately 212 feet wide by 160 feet tall and includes a significant number of folks' windows. Development standard variance, as mentioned, they're seeking or reference 18.180.050 B as in boy 1, maximum sign area of 65 square feet. And the applicant requests relief from or to permit a 229 square foot wall sign to the north facade. And the image above this is what it will replicate, that signage to the facade that the sign company has provided for us. Next are a couple site photos. Most are familiar with the MTI Center, but this is as you access the parking lot at the end of Thunder and continue to move around the MTI Center. Take a look at them. This image here on the screen is essentially looking northwest from the north facade to show the golf course, the heavy vegetation trees that look towards Maumee Street. The one white building that you can see far in the distance just above the red truck would be the university apartment. And then lastly is the MTI Center's entrance on the east facade, what the signage looks like at that location. Next, we move into the contextual zoning and land use. As mentioned, the property is zoned UV, University District. To the north is university property, C1 and C2 commercial properties, and R1 residential. To the east is university property, nature park and traditional residential. To the south is university property and agricultural land on the other side of Fox Lake Road. And to the west is university property and lake residential once you get around Fox Lake. This project speaks to the comprehensive plan. Objective 2.4, continue to support the initiatives of Trine University as a valued and critical community partner. Lastly, staff has received no public input as a result of the public notices being sent. And in conclusion, the proposed signage expansion to the MTI Center would not deviate significantly from the scale and character of signage permitted on adjacent properties along the main corridor to the north. Moreover, given the strategic location of the MTI Center on Trine University's campus, the proposed signage would serve as more of a prominent landmark. This increased visibility would be beneficial to guide visitors, students, faculty, and community towards the facility, enhancing its accessibility and overall impact. That is the end of my staff report. Any questions for staff?
It is a lit sign, all right?
Yes, it is a lit sign.
Would you like to speak?
Sure.
He loves to speak. What do you mean?
First of all, thank you very much for considering this proposal. I'm Rod Olson, Assistant Vice President of Operations for Trine University. My home address is 2415 North, 110 West, Angola. We'll note that the east facade sign that you see in the presentation faces inner campus. This north sign will help visibility from Highway 20 as stated in the report. So exciting time last spring with the national championship, and all our visitors to the community would have been a lot easier for them to find this property had they had the visibility of the sign on the north facade. So again, thank you for your consideration.
Any questions, Chris?
The only question that came to my mind is how, is this going to be lit 24/7?
Yes,
Okay,
or at night, yeah.
right, yeah. So how bright is this going to be is my only question. I mean,
You'll have it lit whether there's an activity or not.
That's correct.
yeah.
It's similar to the east facade, and we have no complaints for, it doesn't even light up the parking lot.
Okay,
And this one's, the proposed one is twice the size of that, I understand, but it is 55 feet in the above ground, where the existing east facade's 15 feet. And it does not light up the sidewalk.
And I don't think, if you look at Brett's signage, his picture, there isn't, other than the campus apartments that are there, there really isn't any residential. So we do concern ourselves, and that's a great question, Susan, if residential was within like 300 feet of an illuminated sign, but
Yeah, we're,
other than visibility from 20, I don't think that the light
is going to.
trespass will reach those residences on 20. I mean, would you agree, Rod? I don't think as comparison to just what we see in some of the other ones, so.
And most of this lighting is just for it to stand out. It's not as a projection as you see those electronic displays at schools that are really, can be bright. I think that, yeah, there's parameters they have to follow within our development standards for those type of
The
lighting.
illumination and that's a good question though.
more of an outline of the letters. So it's not the entire letter being illuminated. It's the outline of it. So you don't have that much light.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I got the picture.
All right, thank you. You said no correspondence,
No,
so
sir.
we'll close the, if anybody else says anything, we'll close the public part of the hearing and go through the findings of fact.
All right, findings of fact for the MTI Center signage on the north facade, case number 2024 BZA 10002. Request from section 18.180.050 sign standards, University B as in boy 1, wall sign maximum sign area to permit 229 square feet. The first finding is the approval of this variance will or will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the intended use of the property remains unchanged, the building is located a quarter of a mile away from properties that face its facade. The application's sole purpose is to install a larger signage to make the building more easily identifiable from a distance.
Agree.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in this variance will or will not be affected in a substantial adverse manner.
Will not.
Staff proposes the finding that because the proposed modification does not involve a change in the property's use or function, but rather aims to provide more identifiable wayfinding sign for students, visitors, and individuals attending events at the MTI Center. Additionally, the wall sign will not flash, blink, or flutter lights with different intensity.
Agree.
Lastly, number three, the strict application of the terms of this ordinance will or will not result in practical difficulties in use of the property.
Will.
Staff proposes finding that because while smaller signage might suffice for internal campus navigation, the MTI Center as a facility frequented by a large number of guests requires more prominent signage for clear identification and guidance.
Agree. Do I have a motion to approve the wall sign maximum area permit, 229 square feet? I have a motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, thank you. Any other business to come before us tonight?
What I say I was going to cover. We do have a meeting, I believe, set for next month for the BZA. Also for you two for the Plan Commission. There'll be that. We are currently working on the calendar for next year. Right now, it goes out till January of 2025. We have do a couple more reviews and make sure the dates are adequate, don't interfere with holidays, things of that nature. But that calendar will be forthcoming so you guys can plan accordingly. And we're gonna try to get you some material just to hang on your refrigerator, artwork from Brett for when meetings are. So it might be helpful, try to help you guys out because your guys' service is, great to us in the community. So whatever we can do, we take input and try to get to you guys to help out and streamline processes. So I appreciate everything.
Working on a pay raise.
You'll have to talk with Rita about that one. So I appreciate all you
You're in
guys
the
coming.
review time,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. All right, well, if hearing nothing else, this board will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have everything we need, Rod, for the permitting of that, so we'll get that.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming again. See, aren't you so glad you did?
Yeah, it's interesting. I enjoy it.
See, you could just
You-
keep coming.